Welcome everybody to our today's expert talk with analytics versus creativity and why everything you know about working is wrong. So our today's expert talk is the fourth in a row, and I think we can speak of a series now. And the series will be continued in 2021. We from the Connecting Dot open up the space for all of our experts. Different areas of expertise, but we have one thing in common. We love what we do, we trust, and we support each other. And a warm welcome to Stephanie Barnes from Entelechy, our expert today for all around KM and creativity. Warm welcome to Stephanie. The floor is yours.
Great, thank you. So, whoops. So who am I? Who is this person in front of you for the next 45 minutes? I have an undergrad in accounting and an MBA in IT, so I know lots of stuff about numbers and being analytical and being logical. I evolved into doing knowledge management when I was at HP and have been doing that since leaving HP for the last 17 years as an independent consultant to a variety of companies and organizations around the globe. I am Canadian and based in Berlin for the last 5 years. And most importantly, because at this point it influences everything that I do, I am an artist. So I like to begin my meetings, my workshops, my talks off with a little guided meditation. So, thank you. Now, if we were a smaller group, I would take a couple of minutes and turn your mics on and we would reflect about how that was. So what employees, knowledge workers, which is what we all are at this point, really want at this point is to be more engaged, be more collaborative, be more creative and innovative. They want to be better at executing and implementing new ideas and taking more risks. They want to understand the big picture. They want to be seen as individuals and not just another cog in the wheel and the same as the person at the desk next to them. And they want to be coached and not managed. This is what our employees want. This is what knowledge workers want. I'd say knowledge workers because I come from that background, having worked in that for about 20 years. So when the pandemic happened, I kind of got curious about all of this. It gave me some time, everything, the world got turned upside down, as you all know, and it gave me some time, some pause for reflection. And I got curious about all of these things and got curious about all the pieces that I had and how I might be able to put them together differently in a way that was more meaningful. That opportunity. Yeah. One of the things I like to do with my clients and with myself is to challenge my assumptions. I was thinking about where this comes from, and I remember certainly doing it when I was writing accounting exams and we had to state our assumptions. And I would write down all my assumptions and answer the question that way. And then I would realize that, well, what if they weren't true? What if my assumptions weren't true? And then I would answer the question, assuming my assumptions were wrong and the assumptions were something else. It's no wonder I had trouble passing accounting exams. But to challenge your assumptions. What if that button's not really purple? What if it's green? Or what if the text is really purple and not green? What if? What if that's not true? So this is how I came up with radical knowledge management. I've been talking about creative knowledge management for a while since I started my painting practice. And it didn't really ring true. And then like I say, with the pandemic, I got thinking, how do I mix this around a little bit? And thought about it and thought, creativity is something that we've lost. This artistic attitude and artistic practice comes up in digital transformation and culture change and the agile behaviors that we're all talking about, but we've really lost creativity. So that's why I came up with
Yeah. One question from my side. When I see
Sure.
all this stuff, radical knowledge management, when it all comes together and what is missing, what is differently to design thinking then? Where is the difference?
Well, design thinking is really specific for product creation, product generation. And this is a much more general, broader approach to adding creativity in it. And it also takes a step back from that. The creativity that comes up in design thinking is much more directed, and the kind of creativity that I'm talking about here is more open, and less directed, and much more of a wait and see kind of attitude with it, and
So,
letting things emerge. So why do we need to relearn creativity? For the last 120 years, at least, we've taken this really mechanistic factory production line approach, and we've created all these silos and all these specializations, and broken work down, and done all these, time and motion studies, and really focused on being efficient and effective, and we've driven out all the space for creativity. And I'm not really sure that was ever the right way to treat people and to approach things, but that's what's happened. But with knowledge work needs space. It wants to be shared. Knowledge wants to be shared. It wants to be iterated. It wants to grow and learn and change, and it needs space to develop and evolve. And we're all knowledge workers to varying degrees at this point. And we really need to bring back that space that's been taken out. And creativity does that, allowing the space for learning and experimentation and trial and error, needs to be reintroduced to our organizations, and get away from this. We've been planned to death and processed to death. And coming from an accounting and MBA business background, I get that, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's been taken to an extreme, I think, at this point. And we would all be better off. Our organizations and individuals within them would be better off.
so this
Putting
when you say all these things, this what comes to my mind is we need to take a step back, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we need to step back to our childhoods, really. um, when we were children, this is the way children learn. Children learned through play and creativity and trial and error, and seeing what works and what doesn't, and coming up with all kinds of questions. Anybody that's survived a 2-year-old, going, well, why? Well, why? Well, that flipped around with no. but 5-year-olds are, 90% of them. This comes from a NASA study that was done, and it's often quoted. So you may have seen it someplace else, but 90% of 5-year-olds demonstrated the creativity to suggest new and innovative ways of looking at situations and dreaming up new ideas. By the time those 5-year-olds got to be 17, only 10% of them scored as creative. And then all hope was lost by the time they crossed the barrier to 18 and adulthood. Only 5% of us registered in the creative range. And so this is something we clearly knew. It's a skill that we had, and it has been educated out of us and taken out of us by the workforce and social pressures and society and things. So we need to take a step back and remember what that's like, and bring some of that back, some of that playfulness back and curiosity back to us. This is a Matisse quote that I like. Creative people are curious, flexible, and independent, with a tremendous spirit and love of play. I think two things when I read that quote. A, those are people that I think I would really love to work with. And B, it sounds like the kind of people we need in our organizations now. Being adaptable and being able to change and accept, this new normal, and be successful in whatever the new normal looks like. Having that sense of play and fun, and not just being serious all the time, but having a bit of fun too.
Great. Great.
So this work's important because it allows us to experiment and to come out of our boxes and comfort zones. And I know some of you are probably thinking, no, I like my comfort zone. I like my box. Just leave me alone here. But it really is good to get out of our box and have new experience and learn things. It gives us a voice. It helps us to release and redirect energy. It helps relieve stress. Who's not stressed these days?
Not before Christmas.
Yeah, not before
A
Christmas.
lot of people are.
Everyone's relaxed. I'm sure everyone has a cup of glühwein beside them. It improves our resiliency and our problem solving and our critical thinking and all kinds of other things. It's important. We don't, like I say, we don't need to be deadly serious all the time. There's good things that come out of play and creativity and having some fun.
Yes.
So.
Oh, yes. How to become more creative.
Yeah, lots of ways to become creative. So I'm not going to read them all off or anything like that. You can look at them. There's more there than I keep thinking I need to add some more, because there's certainly more cooking and gardening and all kinds of things that I should add there. There's lots of ways to be creative. So
yeah, but perhaps somebody has some experience with this. Just let us know, write into the chat. What is your experience? How to become more creative? How do you become creative? Let us know.
Yes, I'll add some more things to my slide. Tapping into our creativity allows us to bring our whole authentic self to work. And I keep hearing how we need to be authentic at work and how we need to bring our whole self to work. Well, bringing our creativity with us to work is part of that equation, part of that process. And bringing our creativity to work allows us to find opportunities to build the skills for leadership within ourselves, but also within others, which is only a good thing, because at this point, everyone needs to be a leader.
Is there something special to encourage people to get out of their comfort zone, to be creative? Are there typical things they can take, so to say?
Just being more open, try to be more curious. Not rushing to an answer, but just leave a little space. I started out doing this work by doing an activity that we're going to do at the end of this presentation called scribble drawings in my workshops, and that they take 5 minutes. But it was such a change, a shift for people, and the results I got in the workshops, that was kind of the thin edge of the wedge that I started bringing it in more and more often and doing different activities.
Yeah.
And finding out that we had these different results in the requirements analysis workshop, or the strategy workshops that I was doing. The other thing on a personal side was I developed my own painting practice, because I fell in love with painting, quite honestly. I tried out lots of things, and it's just be curious, try something you haven't tried before. I tried mountain biking and didn't like it. I tried golf and didn't like it. I tried all kinds of things and didn't like it. I just was curious. That was where I started from, is just be curious. If there's something you've never tried, try it.
Yeah. Get over the red line.
Yeah. I was reading a blog a few weeks ago about somebody that does one new thing every day.
Every day. Okay.
Every day, and that felt overwhelming to me, honestly, but maybe, every Monday, do something new, pick a day, pick what works for you, but give it a try. Be curious.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Yeah.
I just want to read out. We got also some feedback from the audience from going on a walk with his dog. One is doing, and the other one is just giving himself space to do so. So change into a specific environment. I know this guy, he goes for hiking in the mountains. So I know that he does that a lot. And so another one is doing karaoke to feel
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm very brave. I haven't tried karaoke.
Yeah, and learning a new language is also very, very good. Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm doing that.
Yes, you do that. You learn German.
Yes. The question is, how can we be an artist at work? Artists exhibit these behaviors, an artistic attitude, curiosity, passion, confidence, resilience, artistic practices, perception, reflection, play. So in the workshops I do on creativity, we paint. We do a bunch of other stuff too, but we paint. One of my favorite activities is a painting, a layered painting that we do over the course of the 2 or 3 days of the workshop.
So real color.
With real, yeah,
Real
with real color, with real paint.
Okay.
So yeah, none of this digital stuff. Once the paint's down on that canvas, it's not coming off.
Okay.
There's no undo button. But we talk about these things, in an artistic context, of with painting. But then we talk about how this transfers over to work. How does this transfer over to that marketing plan you're working on, or the Excel spreadsheet that's halfway done? How do these behaviors move over to the workplace, and we get to practice them and experience them in this safe space and the psychological safety with paint, and find out that the floor doesn't open up when we get brown in our yellow, and and it's all right. We can survive till the end and end up with something that we're really, really happy with. you know it's a wonderful experience, so to see, so, and to have. But what this means for leadership and creative leadership is about creating an environment where everyone, not just management, because as I said, everyone's a leader regardless of your role in the hierarchy. Everyone's empowered to be creative, use creative thinking skills, and to improve the organization. It doesn't mean that everybody's generating ideas, but rather that everybody's empowered to ask. They're empowered to challenge the assumptions and say, well, what if that's not true? What if we did it this other way? Maybe there's a better way. And then they become personally accountable for implementing that solution and working with the people that they need to work with to implement that solution, making the workplace a better place for employees and for customers. Creative leadership. This comes from a study that was done or published in Harvard Business Review a few years ago. The study showed that creative leadership provided 6 times higher revenue growth and increased employee engagement, and that it meant taking more calculated risks and innovating in how to lead and how to communicate, and not being afraid to do those things. Yeah. I found creative leaders are ready to question the status quo, and are committed to ongoing experimentation with disruptive business solutions. Yeah. Good thing, all from being more creative.
Yeah, so I just want to say this, we all need to learn and to be more creative, to get into a culture that's open enough. Yeah. And getting really curious about things and not to point with a finger.
Yeah. Blame is the killer of creativity, for sure. So why is now the time for creativity? Because of all the things we've been talking about, because agile, because design thinking, because of new work, because of trying to be more sustainable, because of COVID-19 and whatever comes after that, because of all of these things, and all surviving and thriving in these situations really requires a lot of the same behaviors. When you look underneath them and look at what behaviors are desirable to be successful in these environments, is all of these behaviors. And again, I'm not going to read them all out, you can read them, but it's around having a sustainable mindset and taking a systems approach and building relationships. All comes out of tapping into our creativity and our curiosity. That's why it's time for creativity. Wow. And I'm going to go ahead and do our little activity. Grab a pen and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Or if you're like me, a notebook. I have a notebook here. Let me open the page. You have a notebook, you might want to open it to a blank double page like that. And I just have a pen. It's just a normal everyday pen. You don't need any fancy art materials for this. So I'm going to ask you to hold the pen or pen or whatever, pencil, whatever you have in your hand, over the paper, and close your eyes and scribble. Just make some kind of scribble. It doesn't, just a little flourish, just to take a second, not anything too long. So there, I'll hold up my scribble. You can see my scribble. And then take it and rotate it around. See if there's a side that feels more like it should be oriented that way. And I kind of like mine like that. So when you've turned it all the way around and decided on which way the paper should be oriented, add another line, make another mark, add something to it. You don't have to close your eyes this time, just add another line. And then when you're done that, again, turn the page around and look at it from different angles. And again, decide on where is the right orientation and add a third line to it. And then we're gonna do a fourth line, but again, we're gonna rotate the page around. And make a fourth line to add to it.
There's only a little space left.
And that's okay. Whatever you do is perfect. And rotate it around, and we're gonna do a fifth embellishment.
Oh my goodness.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've done 5, and one last one. Just to finish it off. And I'll hold mine up. That's what I got. I had a fish.
Okay, I cannot see it, but mine looks similar, a little bit.
Oh, good. So we got some fish in the crowd today.
Yeah,
so
something like that.
That's just a little icebreaker. When I do them in a workshop, you know, a lot of times people throw them out when they're leaving the room, which is perfectly fine. It's just an icebreaker to get you out of your head a little bit, have a little bit of fun. When I started doing them in the workshops, it really shifted the energy in the room and the engagement. And yeah, I was really surprised by doing, you know, a little 5-minute game like that. And in the rooms, when we're in an in-person situation, we'll pass the papers amongst ourselves, but it works just as easily or just as well doing it on your own. So like we just did. So yeah, so we would, again, normally take a few minutes and reflect on that. I'll encourage you to share any reflections in the chat window. We'll come back to them.
They're already coming some.
Oh, good.
Perhaps Evelyn can share with us.
I'm still working on my little on a mountain. So yeah, someone said I got a 3D abstract object. What does that say about me?
It says you're creative.
And how does it felt for you?
Yeah. How did it?
I think this is much more what do you felt when you scribbled it?
Yeah. How did it feel?
Yeah. And what about the others?
Yeah, anybody else want to share?
You enjoyed it? You were surprised. Yeah, me too.
Surprise is a good thing.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Yes. Good.
Yeah, so someone is saying out of my comfort zone and relaxing is also a reaction about it. Yeah, I felt it was relaxing.
Yeah.
I think good. I'm thinking about, because when I closed my eyes, I thought, oh my God, what's going to come out of that one? And then, yes, when you said turn it, I thought, yeah, nice.
It's always something different.
Yeah, for everyone. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think also the meditation you did in the beginning was so relaxing. Just let it go, let it take it with you, and then what do you feel? Yeah, just it's so calm and quiet.
Yeah, and there really is no right or wrong answer. You know, it just is. You know, whatever you think, whatever your experience is the right thing. So no judgment.
No judgment, because everyone is different, and everyone has different opinions and feelings and that. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So
fantastic.
Your questions. I'm just gonna flip. I have a book list. If you want a book list, reach out to us. I'm happy to share the book list. And if you want some ways to activate your creativity, there's a couple of little online courses and things there. So again,
this is really great. So if somebody wants to have the list from Stephanie and things like that, just let us know. We have one more thing. So we split the screen now. So our voucher for all the participants today, if you like to have an expert talk with the expert for 30 minutes, so the first 5 requests will get a talk with Stephanie, a virtual coffee with Stephanie for 30 minutes.
It'll have to be in the new year.
Yeah.
It'll have to be in the new year because I'm booked up.
Yeah, but it's also good to know that you are really booked out, and that creativity versus analytics, KM, and things like that are well known and well received in the audience, not only in the audience, all over out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that everybody feels that this is really needed, and it is needed.
Yeah.
It's needed to have an icebreaker when you are constantly thinking and being efficient and things like that. You need an icebreaker, and creativity is anything else from you. Any questions left?
Yeah. Questions.
Yeah, questions.
I just wrote in the chat that whoever is interested in getting the reading list, please send us an email, and then we get you the reading list. I opened up the speaking function, so if you want, you can also ask your question directly.
Hi, Stephanie. I just wanted to ask you, what made you change from accounts into a more creative role? I just would like to have a bit of background onto that. Like, what makes you change, from something that is quite box-like, everything is set in stone, how you have to do things, how you have present statements, into this more creative role?
Yeah, thanks. It was definitely an evolution. I started out in accounting, and I just didn't get along. And I failed the exams basically, and went back to school and did the MBA. And when I finished the MBA and was working at Hewlett Packard, I'm like, I got all this time on my hands because I've spent my life up until that point studying. And it's like, what am I going to do? And so this is when I started to experiment. I got curious about, what hobbies are available to me. And I had all these things that I always had wanted to do, but I was busy studying. So this is when I tried golf and mountain biking and photography and a bunch of things. And some of them were good and some of them weren't. But I was actually at a leadership workshop in 2011. And we did this painting activity, abstract painting. And it's like, oh, this is fun. How do I do more of this? And I went out the next day and bought paints, and I've been painting ever since. And it just became, I asked myself the question, how, art and knowledge management, or business, 2 very different things. And I like both of them. I enjoyed, and I'm quite passionate about both of them. How can I bring them together? So that's what I've spent the last 9 years figuring out all the pieces, is how they fit together. And sometimes I'm more creative and arts. I still paint. I have a painting in progress right now. And sometimes I'm more analytical, and sometimes I get to bring them both together. And so, yeah, but it was definitely an evolution and just a series of questions that honestly continue. So yeah, does that help?
Yeah, totally. I do feel a bit identified with yourself because I'm myself an accountant, and the exams I was studying for the ACCA, and I was just like, oh, this is so boring. Like, I just, it was parts of my life, and then I changed into a more research role that, looking for answers to problems and then bringing that analytical, but then doing the presentations of the research that has allowed me to bring that creative part, because you have to constantly be challenging yourself. How can you communicate this better and easier to understand?
Yeah.
So Stephanie, when you get like booked for a leadership workshop, and then you come in with your creative ideas, how do people react that have no idea at the beginning? They think, okay, we go to a knowledge management workshop, it sounds a bit different, but yeah, let's give it a try. And then you start stuff like that, and I imagine they are like, whoa, what should I do? Why should I do that?
Yeah. The first time I did the scribble drawings, people are like, what, why, and very kind of curious and hesitant. When I got doing the full-on creativity workshops and leadership workshops, I had a guy come in, and I mean, I was very open with the fact that we paint, and he walks in and he sees all the paints, all the supplies on the table, and he's like, we're gonna paint? I'm like, yeah, we told you that. And he makes to go leave, and I'm like, no, stay, it'll be okay. And lots of people, myself included, have bad experience with art, which is one of the reasons why I like to do it. People have a bad experience with art when they're in school, and so overcoming this fear of putting paint on canvas there's a lot of importance to it, or can have a lot of significance. And so this guy comes in, and after the first layer of paint, we were doing my favorite layered paintings, and he comes to me and goes, I got brown in my yellow. Oh, I'm really sorry you got brown in your yellow. And and I'm like, okay, you got brown in your yellow. And he's like, but how do I fix it? You're an artist, how do I fix it? And I go, well, we can cut it out. I got some scissors here, we can cut it out, but then you got a hole in your canvas. I think that's probably worse than having brown in the yellow. So I'm making up all kinds of, crazy things to try and fix it. And I said, the best thing to do, we're going to do some other stuff right now. We've got to put the paintings aside and let them dry before we do the next layer. I said, just put it aside. Don't worry about it. It will be fine. Think about how you want to incorporate this. We've got 3 more painting sessions over the next couple of days. Just see how you feel about that when we come back to it. And so that was fine. He was a bit disappointed, I think, that I didn't have a magic wand to make the brown go away. But by the end of the second day and the 4th painting, layer, he had this painting that he was in love with. He took it home and hung it up on his living room wall. He was so proud of it. And he's like, you're magic. Oh, nobody's seen magic before. I like that. I like that I'm magic. But this is the power of this work, is he's got that confidence now that he created something he didn't think that he could. He was completely intimidated and wanted to leave, the moment he set foot in the room. And it's gone really well. And he's created this thing and he's hung it on his wall at home. And this confidence transfers over to other things, to leadership, to working with his colleagues and his peers, to the clients that he works with.
Mm-hmm.
This is why this is important.
Yeah, this is really magic. Yeah.
It's not obvious, but it's magic.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's another question. How can creativity be applied in a corporate structure? Isn't one the antithesis of the other?
Yes. And that's exactly why you have to make the space for it. So, and doing little things like the guided meditation. I got that guided meditation comes from a book that was written by a guy that worked at Hallmark, the greeting card company. He used to do that in his meetings 30 years ago. It was this book is called Orbiting the Giant Hairball. It's a great book. And I should make sure that's on my book list because it's a great book. And that's where the guided meditation comes from. It's, you know, it's little things. We don't have to do, I love big arts-based interventions and doing a 5-day workshop and, you know, and really getting into things, but it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a little guided meditation just to get people centered in the room. And it works just as well virtually as it does, you know, when you're in the room with everybody. The scribble drawings, just to get people out of their heads and thinking differently. There's tons of icebreakers, you know, just little things. So start bringing it in, making space for it. You can spare 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're looking for more meditations, the app I like on my phone is Insight Timer. There's lots of them there and it's free, or you can pay a donation. And there's lots of stuff there. So check that out. So, and YouTube too, they're up on YouTube. So
there are a lot of things out there, but I think a talk with you is also great stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I love my virtual coffees.
Yeah, I think so. Me too. So I think, yes, we are nearly done. Many thanks to everyone staying in the room, staying with us, having this fantastic time. And I hope to see many of you next year for another topic. So many thanks to Stephanie as our expert, and many thanks to the fabulous audience. Many thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.